Hello and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is March the 14th, 2024, and I have the right date this week. I don't know how many of you noticed that I was very mixed up last week and I was saying the wrong date, but I did put the right date on YouTube. So anyway, sorry for being so confusing. But yes, it's March the 14th. We're halfway through the month already. And I'm coming to you from southwestern Ontario in Canada, thus my maple leaf. And I'm all about talking about my finished items. I think I'll talk about that a little bit more in a later comment. And hand-dyed yarn. So let's move on and I'll come back to that. First of all, I like to start with what I am wearing, and today it was rather cool. It's going to be a beautiful day outside, but it was rather cool down here in my lower level. So I decided to put on this shawl, and this is a shawl I have shown you before. It's one of the several shawls I've made that is the reading shawl, Agatha reading shawl from Ophelia Talks. And this one is made out of latte cake, and because it's made out of latte cake, this one became mine. I just love latte cake, and it's nice and cozy, and I love the fuzziness, and so it just warmed me up a little bit being down here. The heater is on and I'll have to turn it off shortly. I really like this pattern, and I have linked it several times, but I will once again link the pattern to the tutorial. It's a YouTube tutorial in my description box below. So that's what I'm wearing today. Anything that I mention, patterns that I have links to or yarn that there are links to, will always be in my description box below. And I think right now I want to very briefly mention that our mal, the mal that Gina and I coordinated or cooperated on together, is coming to an end this week. Yesterday was the deadline to get your pictures into us, so Gina and I are meeting later today to coordinate who sent pictures and get things ready for the live show this Saturday. This Saturday, everybody, is the live show. It is on Gina's channel. I have a link to the live notification, I guess they call it right now, that you can go to and click that you're interested or plan to attend. I'm not sure what it is, and it will send you a reminder at the time. And it is going to be, remember, we all just changed this week to daylight saving time, so I think that affects a few of you. If I recall, Arizona is one of those states that doesn't change, not sure. But where I am and where Gina is, it has changed. And we're going to meet the same time we did last live, and that is at noon my time and 11 o'clock Gina's time in Texas. We're talking daylight saving time. And I'm sure when you click the bell or when you go to the notification, it tells you what time in your area that it will be broadcasting. So I don't know, do they do like daylight saving time on the other side of the pond? I'm not sure about that. So anyway, you need to check your local time, and we're going to be showing the pictures of what everybody has done. If you've been in Facebook, of course, you've been seeing most of them, and it looks like a number so far. I haven't been able to do a final count. Remember, I'm videotaping this video before the deadline. So at the moment there are in the neighborhood of 30, but I'm sure there are quite a few more to come in yet after I'm finished making this tape. So it should be a fun time. I'm looking forward to it, and I hope to see you all there. Even if you didn't make something for the MAL, I mean, feel free to join us and see everybody else's projects. So, what I want to start with, yeah, the heat started to get to be too much. What I want to start with is a reminder that this month, March, is National Crochet Month. And as I told you, there was a challenge put out, and I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm not meeting the whole challenge. In fact, there was one with 31 challenges, one for every day, and there was another one with 10. So maybe another week I'll get out the one that has 10 on it. I'm not doing all of them, but I do have some of them, and I'm just going to refer to a few of them. So that's what I'm going to do next. This is National Crochet Month, and it asks about stash. Well, you know what? If you're really interested in seeing my stash, if you go back about a month or so, you will see where I showed you my entire room here. And I would say this is the stash that I like to work with. But I do have more in the room behind on the other side of this wall. And yes, there is some yarn over there that is hand dyed, and I like to work with it as well. And that's the bulk of it, but I have more stash than any person should have. But we're not going to talk about my stash. The next item is crochet controversy. Magic ring or chain ring. Is there really a controversy about it? Or is it just that some people like one more than the other? Or is it that some people have no problem with magic ring and use it, and others have a problem with magic ring? It is awkward, and I have managed to use it a few times, but if they can't, they use the chain. I have used both, but I want to tell you, there is a third method, and that's the only reason why I decided to discuss this item. If you follow Fiber Spider, he doesn't use either method. You know, chain and then slip stitch back to the first, and then you go into the circle to do the first row. No. If the first row, for example, was chain 3 and then do 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, then chain, and then 2 more double crochets. So that you would have a semicircle with the 2, 2, 2 in the center. He wouldn't do that. He would, for the first chain of 3, he would chain 4, and then he would go back in the first chain and proceed with the next double crochet, chain, double crochet, chain, and so on. He uses the first chain in the first length or the first stitch as his magic circle. And it is really like the magic circle, and it expands when you work in it, but you can close it back up just like you can the magic ring. And honestly, I like his method the best of them all. And it allows you to have as big a circle as you need, just like the magic circle, and close it up tight without having, and without the fiddliness of the magic ring. The chain and make a slip stick and make a circle can sometimes not be the right size. It can be bulkier. You know what? I don't think there needs to be any kind of controversy. I think people use what is comfortable to them and makes them happy. So enough about that. But you should check out Fiber Spider, a shawl that he makes at some point, and see how he does that. Number 9 says, how I learned or / my crochet story. And I thought I might take a minute to talk about that. And that's where that's what I was referring to at the beginning when I said what my purpose was. So I'll tell you a bit about my crochet story. First of all, you'll be surprised, and I meant to bring it down. I have shown this before. I actually, if you want to say, learned to knit before I learned to crochet. When I was in university, for some reason, I had a desire to knit a scarf. I wanted to give it to a guy I was interested in. So I knit a scarf. I think it was fairly plain. Maybe it was a basket weave. I'm not sure. And I did it in yellow and black and white. Those were our school colors. And I gave it to him. And after I made him a scarf, I said, you know what? I want a scarf too. And it was black and gold. It was all black with 2 gold stripes near the end and gold fringe. And you're going to say, why on earth, Judy, you don't like yellows and golds? And I don't, but I wanted that scarf. And to this day, and we're talking, that's more than 50 years ago, I knit that scarf. To this day, I still have that scarf. And I use it when I go out in very, very cold weather because it is extremely long scarf and I can actually pull it up over my head. But anyway, that's all I ever knit. And that one I made for myself, I know is basket weave. But I remember sitting in a class in university and this girl had a great big long, maybe 3-4 feet length of yarn. And she had a little loop and then she'd put the yarn in and pull the loop. And then pull it back a bit and then put the yarn in and pull a loop. And I'm thinking, what on earth is she doing? And she would do this until she went the length of her yarn. Then she'd take it all out, start all over again. I didn't know her to talk to her, so I didn't ask. But at a later date, I was at a girlfriend who lived in Toronto at the time. I was at her house and I said something to her mother about this girl passing the yarn through this loop and pulling that, passing it through the next loop and pulling it. She says, oh, she's actually making a chain like in crochet, but without a crochet hook. She was doing it manually. I said, oh, and that's all I knew. She was supposedly crocheting a chain. And then when I just about finished university, it might have been my last year at university, for some reason, I don't remember what was behind it, I wanted to make a poncho. So my mother actually showed me the beginnings. I think she actually stitched it. She didn't give me any formal lessons about, chains and single crochets and double crochets or anything. She started a poncho using it was a granny square poncho. So the neckline was started. And I went from there. I made a poncho. Get a load of this. It was all yellow with black around the neck. A couple of rows of black near the bottom. I don't know if it had fringe, but I know that it had a tie that went through and was black. It was a chain and it was black. Why did I make a yellow and black poncho? Because those were my school colors. Not that I liked yellow and black, and I didn't have a strong negative feeling for yellow in those days. That's another story. So in the end, it was made out of Fentex wool. Do you remember that awful Fentex wool? I'm talking the early 70s. I probably made that thing around 73 or so. Anyway, I had it as I grew up, got married, moved many times. I had it for a long time. And I'm thinking it was probably 10 years ago, I finally said, you don't need to keep this poncho. You aren't wearing it. And I put it in the Goodwill pile and donated it. But yeah, that was my very first thing, was a granny poncho way back in the 70s. And then in the middle to late 70s, I actually did make a granny square Afghan. Again, I think it was all Fentex yarns, very bright colors, bordered in black, put it together. It was on an old couch we had, and when we sold the couch, probably 80, 81, the Afghan went with it, and I made another Afghan in shades of green, and it was, that one wasn't a ripple. I did make a ripple Afghan in fall earth tones, you know, golds and oranges and browns and sort of a rusty red that went on our couch in the living room for a lot of years. And the green one I made had fans and looked like a flower. And that was pretty much all I crocheted. I didn't crochet, those were the early 80s, and then I didn't crochet ever. Not for years and years and years. As you know, in the late 70s, I really got involved in cross stitch. I discovered cross stitch and I fell in love with it, and that was my thing. In the 90s, I opened a cross stitch store, and I had it until after I retired. I think I closed it in 2008. And it was about 2015 when the mission group in our church were looking for knitters to make prayer shawls. And so I thought, well, I can help. I went up and I said, I don't knit, but would you be happy with crochet? Oh, yes, yes, yes. So I said, I can crochet Afghans, possibly a prayer shawl. I had not made a shawl at that point, and I didn't right away. I stuck to Afghans, and they were giving them to members of our church that were in hospital undergoing serious treatments, seniors, and, you know, anybody in need or a special circumstance. And so I started to make an Afghan, and my girlfriend said to me, she didn't crochet, she was cross-stitching with me. She says, you know, I could do that too. I could help. So I taught her to crochet. Meanwhile, I had never really been taught anything. Anything I did was out of a book. I didn't really learn to crochet. I just, when I made something, I opened it up and followed whatever the pattern said. The one with the ripple, I just followed the pattern. The one with the flowers, just followed the pattern. So we were making pretty basic Afghans, and we were making a lot of them. Single size, not great big huge ones, single size that they could donate to people. And we were making a lot. I was taking, you know, every month, 6 weeks, I was taking a pile of Afghans between the two of us to the church. And finally, after about 2 years, I think they had so many stockpiled and weren't giving enough away that they didn't need any more. And they said, you know, you don't need to bring us any more. So we started looking for other places to donate our Afghans. And we were using a lot of Karen cakes, because Karen cakes came new on the scene. I think it was in the fall of 2015, because that's when we started, and they had Karen cake. They were hard to get at first, and then they were having them, and we were getting them on sale all the time. And I still have some of those first Karen cakes that we're trying to use up. But in the meantime, we were looking for another place to donate them. And you know, it was really, really hard. We couldn't find any place. Hospice here in town didn't want them. Cancer Society didn't want them. We finally did find places, but at first we couldn't find any. And then I discovered, I don't know how, I was doing, you know, how you do. You look around on YouTube and different places, and I started to see hand-dyed yarn. And after a while, I got tired of making Afghans, and I made my first shawl. I was very hesitant to make my first shawl, but once I made one and found out it wasn't any harder than an Afghan, I fell in love with shawls. And as you can see, I make lots and lots of shawls, and I've learned to make lots of other things. I can read patterns, no problem. And the first time I saw a chart, I mean, right away, I understood the chart. It's like reading a graph. And as a math person, graphs are not a hard thing at all. So I started to do other things. And then, as I said, I was seeing other yarns, and I said, well, I'd like to try hand-dyed yarn. This looks interesting. And once I bought hand-dyed yarn and I tried making something in a fingering weight, I fell in love with fingering weights and hand-dyed yarns, and that was game over for me. I mean, I still do make things with heavier yarns. You'll see some today, but fingering weight has become my very, very favorite. And I love hand-dyed yarns, as you can see by the stash I keep around me. And after a few years, I think it was COVID, when COVID hit, oops, we're not supposed to say that, I guess. That's when I started to watch YouTube more. And that's when I started doing a lot more crocheting, of course, because we're home and not able to go out and do things. And I think that's when I started to watch a lot of the YouTube crochet channels. And I can't even tell you the first one I watched. I do know early on that I did discover Crystal A Bag a Day and Fiber Spider and Creative Grandma. And then a little bit after that, Debbie the Canadian Crocheter. There were many others, but those stuck out in my mind. And I really, really, I think, enjoyed Debbie the most. And it was watching her that kind of gave me the, I don't know, the inspiration to start my own channel. I had been watching her probably for maybe a year, 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year, when I decided to try my own channel, because I just wanted to share the love of my crochet and the fact that because we were locked indoors, we couldn't go to craft shows anymore. And I had been making lots. I had gone to a craft show, and now I had no outlet for what I was making, and I was stockpiling all these things, especially shawls, cocoon cardigans. I made a lot of those at one time, and ponchos, and there was no place to sell them. And so I started putting them on a Facebook page, and I thought, well, at least I can share them on YouTube. I have something to share. I have this great big stockpile. Well, guess what? I've gone through everything that was stockpiled and shown it all to you. I still have a lot of it. Facebook, selling on Facebook has not worked very well for me. I said I was going to learn how to do it on Instagram, but I have not seen a really good way to do it there either. So I want to finish up my story with saying that I thoroughly enjoy having a YouTube channel, and I have met so many wonderful people and made some new friends. And going along with that, I want to say, if you ever see anything that I show you as a finished product and you're interested in it, please let me know. Contact me. Everything I show, almost, except the few I keep for myself, are for sale. I do put some in the donation box to our church now for the breakfast program, and my friend and I put certain shawls, they must be acrylic, in a donation box to the seniors once a year before Christmas. But that still leaves all these other wonderful things I make, both non-hand dyed. Yes, I do acrylics. Don't do too many 4-weighted worsted, but a little bit. I do a lot of hand dyed, and I do go to shows, and I'm going to talk maybe next week about a spring show and a fall show. But I have a Facebook page called Judy's Creations, and because I had that Facebook page already, that's how my YouTube channel got its name. I had Judy's Creations, so to tie in, I couldn't just say Judy's Creations on Facebook. That could be just about anything. So I added in the in crochet. Now there are a few other things, but basically this is a crochet channel. But if you ever see anything I show, please feel free to contact me if you're interested in purchasing it, because otherwise I really am not finding good ways to sell what I make. And you might see something, maybe you don't want to purchase hand dyed yourself, but you see something special I make and you'd be interested in purchasing that one item. That's all I'm going to say about it. Other people have Etsy shops and all the rest of it, but I am hearing more and more people closing down their Etsy shop. I'm going to... Excuse me. I don't think there's another one. Sometimes they come in threes, but I think that's it. I heard other creators like Adam talking about how the fees have gone up and they aren't good to work with. So I don't have an Etsy shop. So I'd be happy to sell you anything I've made, and you can check out my other Facebook page and see if there's something there you like. I have albums, different albums with things. It's not up to date. I have not added anything to it, probably in 6 months. So that's enough of that. Let's talk about finished objects. I have 2 finished objects to show you. The first one is this one. I am going to be making some of these over the next 6 months. I'll probably maybe make one more this spring, and then I'll wait till the fall. I don't want to knock anything over. I'll wait till the fall to make more, because this is an item I really want to sell in my Etsy, or no, in my craft show in the fall. I want to put them back here, because if I put it back here, then you can see the whole thing. I did follow a pattern for this part. Not exactly, but close. And then I add a big enough cowl, and you can use just about any shawl pattern you want. Then I make the cowl tall enough that it goes way up, and then it becomes a hoodie. So I call this a bandana cowl hoodie, and I've been busy trying to make a few of these. Like I said, I'm going to make a few more. And this one was made with this yarn. I had this much left over of, I think I had three balls of this. The third ball, I lost the band, but I had that much left of the third ball. And this is, I've had it for a while, a loops and thread called Stone Facet Stones. They don't care anymore. Loops and threads are notorious for having a yarn, and they have it for a season, and then you can never get it again. I've got quite a few of those. These each have 243 yards, so I use 2 full ones and a little bit of a third one. It is a number 4 weight, and I believe it is all acrylic. Yes, 100% acrylic. So that's one item. I actually finished it last week, the week before this, and that's what's left over. And I thought it was a nice neutral. I'm going to make one of these in a scarfie next time. Then I have another item that I made. I felt like making a shawl, so put this over here. So I got out some yarn that I've been wanting to try for a while, and it is Karen Blossom Cakes. I had 2 of these, and I thought it would take about 1.5 at least, maybe more. I'll talk more about the yarn in just a moment after I show you the shawl. So here is the shawl, and I'll turn it around so you can see the back. And after 1 cake, I thought, well, maybe this is long enough. Maybe it should be longer. For a taller or a larger person, it should be. But I'm thinking there are smaller people as well. This is going in our donation box to the home. but I think this is large enough. And the reason why I thought I would stop there is that it doesn't need that much more if I did add to it. And I didn't really want to break into another cake. And then, you know, you have leftovers. And I'm not big on using up leftover scraps. So let's talk about this. This is Karen Blossom Cake. And it is, first of all, it's not exactly chain spun, but it looks like those, you know how they say they make the tube and blow into it? I don't know. It looks just different to me because it is a number 4. And like, you know, I don't stitch with number 4 a lot. And it is 61% cotton and 39% acrylic. So we can donate it. It is washable, machine wash and dryable. And I used, this is not a furls, this is a knockoff that I bought in Amazon, and it's a 5.5 hook, but I really like these ones that are like furls. So I still have one cake of this left, and I suspect it may go in my mystery boxes, which I am going to do later, maybe next month. We'll talk about that later. So that is the second finished object I'm working on. Hang on. Sorry for that interruption. The doorbell went. I had to answer the door. And now I'm trying to think, where did I leave off? I guess I finished showing you my finished objects. So I'm just going to move on to I know what I wanted to talk about next, a whip. I am working on an item. I'm working on my March item for the Mal with the tropical birds. And I can't show you, of course. I will pop up the yarn that I said I was going to use. So there's a picture of the 3 yarns. And I'm in the middle of it right now. And when I got into the middle of it, I decided that this yarn, the variegated one, there is one that's solid green and one that's kind of a burgundy color. I decided this was too green. It was more green than red to put in the shawl. It would make it overly heavy green. So I found another yarn to replace it, and it is this yarn. You can see there's a fair bit more white in it. It shows better contrast, and the yarn that I selected is this from Evergreen Yarn Studio, and I like it, and I'm about 2/3 of the way through. I will finish it in the next 2 days probably, and then when I'm finished that, I will go back to the shawl that has, I showed you the first part done, and it has the solid teal at the bottom with the beads. So hopefully by next week when I see you, I will have this shawl with the beads done, and we can talk about beads after that. So the next thing I want to do is tell you and show you that I have done a major destash. And you know what? I could probably destash again. I think because over time I have come to learn better what my interests are, what yarns I really like, because that's the next thing on this National Crochet Challenge is favorite yarn. Well, it has some other things I don't need to talk about, but favorite yarn. Could I name a favorite yarn? It would be hard. I'm sure that my favorite yarns would be something from EFA. But what I have learned when you talk about favorite yarn is I didn't think I would always like solids or tonals so much, but I'm learning as time goes on that I do prefer them. Now I like yarns that are a little bit speckled. But these really heavy variegated, if they're variegated with Like this one isn't bad. It does tend to pool a bit, but the ones that are overly variegated like this, I tried stitching with this and I didn't like how it was turning out. So that's probably why I've got a lot of yarns, good hand-dyed fingering weight yarns that I'm destashing. I'm never going to get to it all anyway, so I might as well keep the stuff I like the most and get rid of the other. So I did a major destashing, both hand-dyed and I guess what we call big box store yarns, you know, the things that are heavier weight and you know, buy hand dyed. And what I decided to do is split it in two. So I have put together all my hand dyed yarns, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. And the single skein fingering yarns I've put all together. There were 35 of them. I've put them on a board and I've labeled it. You'll see that in just a minute. And then when I was making that, I found that some of the ones I had came two matching skeins, two skeins of the same thing. So I went and put them together, and when I was doing that, I discovered that some of them were DK. So I made little videos showing the yarns, tried to get up close and so on. And I did the fingering weight ones that were single skeins. Then I did another little video that was mostly fingering weight, but they were doubles or triples and a couple of DK, and I had them ready to show you. And then a couple days later, I go down there and there's a box I didn't even see, and it had worsted weight, and most of them were two skeins. There was a 3 skein, but 2 skeins. There was a couple single. So you're going to have 3 little videos, one after the other. But what I have done is videotaped close, showing you them all, and then I took one single picture that I'll post, and I'll leave it up long enough that you can get a good screenshot, and so you can help to figure out which ones you like. And then I have a video of the doubles. I explain each one at the beginning of the video. Hopefully it's self-explanatory. So I'm going to show you video and then a picture posted. Video, picture posted, and then video, picture posted. And then when I'm all done, I'll be back to talk to you again. So here you go. Have a look at these skeins of yarn and see if there's anything you like. So here are the yarn cakes. There are 35 of them, and you can see across the top that they are lettered A, B, C down to E, and along the side they are numbered 1 through 7. I will get closer in a minute so you can see the colors well. I will also try to get one good picture that I will put up on the screen after we're done this. They are all probably merino or merino nylon mixes, and they all are probably around the 400 yard length. There may be variations, and I'm not going to take the tag out of each, but you can see that in the centers I have the cards or the tags that came with them. There may be 1 or 2 without, but I think they're all there. I'm going to get in close shortly, but if you want a certain cake, say you wanted this dark green one, then you would say, I want 5C. That would be 5C, and it will be first come, first serve. So as I said, I'm going to get in closer so you get a good look at the colors. I will scan through them slowly, and then I will take one big picture that you can get a screenshot. So we're going to start up here at the top, and you can get in and see it's blues and purple speckled.
This one is browns with oranges. This one is kind of a cherry red with speckles, autumn color, and teal. Next row, this is row 2 going backwards. This is row 3. This one is greens. We're in row 5 now. I'm casting a shadow so you can see it in 2 kind of lights. This is row 6. Once more, I'll stand back so you can see them all. And as I said, when I'm done videotaping, I will take one full picture. Maybe this will give you a chance to screenshot, but I will take another one as a photo and post it. Remember, they are $20 a cake. I'll talk about arrangements for paying and shipping, but I'm just going to charge a flat $20 shipping regardless of where it goes. And if it's more than 20, I'll absorb the extra. So that's single skeins. I also have doubles. So hang on and we will start another video. In this video, you see I have mostly doubles, but I also have one triple. I'm going to start up here with the triple so you get a good look at the colors. And here is the tag. It is Dragonflies, and it is 430 yards, 100% superwash merino, and there are 3 of them. The only one I have 3 of, so you could do a large project with them. Then we go down to doubles, and here is a double, and this is Black Cat, which is a Canadian dyer, and it has 400 yards in each one. And this one is from Cascade Yards Heritage, and again they have 400 meters, 437 yards in them, and those were fingering weights. Now the rest, so I was surprised to find these are DK weights. So here's a nice true red, and it is an Audine Wools from Knit Crate. It is DK, it is merino and cashmere, and there are 302 yards in each one. Next one is a kind of aqua, turquoise, whatever you call it. And this is Audine Wools, which again is a Knit Crate yarn. And let me find the tag. Merino cashmere again, 302 yards in each one. So these are very similar yarns. And finally, this last one, again, is a DK, and it is an Etrofil, and it is 10% cashmere. I can't find, oh, there it is. Cashmere and polyester, and there are 225 meters in each cake. So that's about 245 yards in each. Again, $20 a cake. Some of them, that's a really good deal. Others, it's not as good a deal. I didn't pay quite full price, but I think $20 a cake is a good deal in all of them. And shipping $20. Now, again, I will, I didn't number these. If you want to call them row 1, 2, 3, and 4, and these are A and these are B, I think you can almost describe them and I'll know which one you mean if you tell me the ones that are multiple listings. So I'll take back here, get a good look at it. Okay. Okay, I found a little bit more yarn, and this yarn is all worsted weight. So you see that? Take a shot from up here. I'll try to stand up in a bit and take a closer shot, but right now I'll get in close. Again, I've numbered them. That only goes 1, 2, and 3, and it goes across A to E. So here is the deep teal, almost navy. Every one of these, there's 2 skeins that go together, and I would prefer that you bought the 2 that go together. There are a couple of exceptions. So there's 1A, there's 1B, that is a really nice deep purple. There's nothing here except the fact that I labeled the board. Here's another purple, but it has other colors in it, like a deep blue, and I did try it out. And then finally, this last one actually has 3 skeins that go together. One looks just slightly different, color a lot maybe, than the others. And then in row 2, we have this creamy beige, and this is the others might be too. I didn't look close, but that's definitely it. You can see chain stitch, chain thread, 2 of those. This one is more of a gray. It's a wee bit thinner than the last one. There's 2 of it. Here's another purple. It definitely has pink in it, 2 of those. And another, this is blue, and in fact these 2 blues were in a bag with those 2, blue, green, cream, but they do match, but you don't have to buy the 2 matching. That's a pretty blue. And then I have 2 singles. I think this is a Rios, Malabrigo Rios. Blues, purples, one skein of that. And then we have, this one, I'm sorry, I don't feel a tag in there, but it's shades of blue. So now I'll stand up and try to get you a picture of them all just to see it better. These are the worsted ones I have. Whoops, not up high enough yet. There you go. I will also take a picture to put in the video. All right, so I'm back again,
I hope you got a really good up close look at all of the various skeins of yarn. The first video were all fingering. There's one skein of each. The second video were all duplicates. There were two, in one case there was three, but there's doubles, and some were fingering and some were DK. I think I pointed that out fairly clearly in the video. And the third was all number 4 worsted weight, and almost all of them were doubles. There was one triple, and there were a couple of singles. And as I mentioned, as I was showing them to you, every skein of, I don't want to have to play with all different prices. Every skein of yarn is $20. That's Canadian. The $20 Canadian works out to less than $15 US. Depends on the day and the exchange rate that day, but you know, around 14 maybe. So that's about half price of what you would buy most of these. Now, I'm not saying they were all $30 or $28 skeins. There were a couple that were a little bit less, but some were more. I would have bought them at 30 US and paid 40 Canadian. So $20 a skein. If there are two, I would prefer to sell the two matching ones together. Any number of them you can put together, unless it's a large bag, but you know, you could buy 1, 2, 3, 4, easily 4. You could probably buy 6 together, and I am going to say the shipping is $20. If you buy more than, let's see, 4 or 5, yeah. If you buy more than 5 skeins of yarn, because I think I can get 5 in one of my bags, but more than 5, then I'm going to have to work out a shipping. I'm willing to pay, if you pay $20 and it costs a little, you know, 22, I'm willing to take that price myself. So I'm going to charge a flat rate of $20 up to 5 skeins of yarn. Over 5, I will have to do a weight thing where you're wanting me to send it, and I'll work out a very reasonable shipping price. But I can't see it being, unless you order a huge box, which nobody's going to do, I can't see it being over 30 for the larger ones. So if you are interested in any of that yarn, email me at Judy's Creations 21. It's always in my description box, Judy's Creations 21 at gmail.com, and tell me, as I said, it's labeled row 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Only the one in the middle, they aren't exactly labeled. You'll have to describe them and tell me it was the second video, and so on. First come, first serve. The very first person to say they want to be is the one that will get it. If you just want to ask more information about a skein of yarn, I'm perfectly happy to answer your questions before you make a decision. But like I said, the first person that says, I want whatever one it is, that's the one that will get it. If you're in Canada, we will e-transfer. If you're in the US, we'll have to use friends and family, and I'll talk to you about that in an email. So I hope you saw some things you like there. I want that yarn to move. I'm not keeping it. Whatever is left, some of it will go in the mystery boxes next month, and we'll talk about mystery boxes when that occurs. So that's the end of that. And I have one last thing I want to cover today is I have a couple of acquisitions, and I've had them for a bit. So I just move a few things out of the way here. And I made 2 different orders from Australia. Our money actually is better than the Australian dollar. and their shipping is not any more than anybody else. So I ordered 2 different orders from Australia. And the first one I ordered because this gradient caught my attention. I'm not sure if this is W.A. Styles or WA Styles, but I think it's meant to be W.A. Western Australia Styles. I had a conversation with Sandy about this. Sandy is the dyer, and I don't know, Sandy, you tell me how I'm supposed to be saying it, but I want to show you this, but I will keep it in the bag because I think I would like to do this as a gradient. I may end up only using 3 together. If I do 3 together, it'll be those 3, but it has these 4 that go together as a gradient. But that is a large amount. Let me tell you about them. They are 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and they have 400 meters or 437 yards. Feels very nice. You know, average for a merino nylon blend. This color is called Purple Haze. The next one is called Myrtle Flower. Even just those 2 together would really make something nice. The third one is called Berry Bouquet. And the fourth one is called Mythical. So there they are. Like I said, if I can find something, but that's 1,600 yards. I'll never find something I want to make that's that big. Well, sometimes some of the elaborate shawls get up over 1,400. But I have a strong feeling that I will probably do something that's around 1,200 with these 3. I know I could use just this, and I love the colors in this. Look at those are the combination of colors that I like the most. Although I do like a darker purple. I love these 2 together. But I think this combination is going to be gorgeous in a shawl. I really like it. Or an asymmetrical triangle. I really, really like those 3 colors together. This last one doesn't grab me quite as much. It is variegated, but I don't think it's horrible. And it would make something nice if I could get maybe even a gray or something light with it. But I am happy with these. This gradient caught my attention. So while I was on her site, I did look around and I found one more. And this one is, and this is why I got it. This is Merino Silk Yak. 60 merino, 20 silk, and 20 yak. Again, 366 meters, 400 yards. I have to say, it doesn't feel a whole lot different than the others. You can see there's a bit of a sheen, and that would be your silk. Feels nice, and I really do like the colors of that. See, there's some pink in the end here. Some really nice royal blues in here. So that's a very, very pretty color. I would expect it to be a little softer for yak and silk, but still it feels good. All right. And then I happened upon another, I should put this up so you can really see it well. I don't know. I will definitely put a link to her. It's on, she's in Etsy. I think it has it here. Yes, there's the information. Oh, she has her own site too, as well as being in Etsy. That's where I would have found her, though, was in Etsy. I'm really happy with these colors. I really do like them. And then I found one other one. As you know, I'm on a buying diet. Like, I'm not buying much, but I have bought these back. I think I might have bought one of them right at the beginning of the year. The next one I bought from is called Yarnia. And there's a little bit of a story on the back here. And again, she's on, she has a website, Stitchcraft and Wizardry on, Stitchcraft and Wizardry on Instagram. And again, I will put a link to her. And these are the two yarns I got. Stitchcraft and Wizardry. And you know I love these colors. And this is called Fruit Tingle. And it's on her Thumpers base, which is 85% superwash EF merino and 15% nylon. And guess what? It's DK, 225 meters. Yeah, 225 meters means DK, and it is a wee bit thicker than the others. Okay, that doesn't excite me a whole lot, but I guess I'll make a cowl out of that. And what about this one? No, this one is DK. Sometimes I'm not paying attention. And this one feels a little bit nicer. This one is the House Elf Liberty base. Color is Fairy Floss Lane, and it's 85 EF merino and 15% nylon, but it is 400 meters, so it is definitely fingering, and I really like the colors in that. Again, I don't really consider that heavy variegated, but yeah. So I will put links to both of them in the description box below. So that is all I wanted to cover. I don't know how much time, because it got all broken up in pieces. I hope I wasn't too long. But again, I just want to remind you that this Saturday is our live show. Ending our Turnpike Creations Mal 24. I hope you will tune in for that. You still have 2 weeks to get your March Mal item for the tropical birds into me. 2 more weeks for that, so there's still time there. And next week, we're going to do a focus on a designer. The designer is Mariana Mueller. I have made a number of her things recently. It surprised me how many I had made. So stay tuned to hear about that designer next week. Plus, I have my 2 mystery skeins of yarn for March. I have those. One is in the mail. The other one will be here. Is here now. It just arrived today, so I'll show it next week. The other one I'm pretty sure is in the mail, so it should be here next week as well. So we'll talk about my 2 mystery boxes, and maybe I will get the third one. Remember I said I tried one more? I think it's on the way as well. So that's what we have in store for next week. So I hope you'll stop by both at the live this Saturday and then next week to hear about the designer that I'm interviewing. So until then, happy hooking.